The gender pay gap is not real.
Skeptics of the gender pay gap exist, even though there's extensive research proving it's real.
These people. You realize that it's illegal to pay people based on their gender, so that if you are making a different amount of money because of your gender, it's because of the choices you've made in life. Hello and welcome to The Ordeal. If you're new to my channel, I challenge all things woke. Keep coming back if you want to hear challenges to the SJW critical race theory agenda that's permeating our society right now. And if you are the victim of this stuff, speak up. Don't let people use this against you. Start a YouTube channel, go onto Twitter, something. Now, let's get back to the video.
Only 61% of men believe that men make more than women for performing the same jobs.
Well, that's really way too high because men don't make more money than women for performing the same jobs. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. That if this is actually happening, if you're actually being paid more or being paid less for doing the same job and it's because of your gender, just go to your EEOC in your state. Just look it up for your state on the internet and tell them that's happening, and they will do an investigation. If the investigation shows that you're being paid less because of your gender, you get paid all your back pay. It's that simple. It's not a difficult thing to prove.
But the reality is, U.S. women working full-time earn just 80 cents for every dollar men earned in 2016. And the gap is even worse when broken down by race. Here are 6 common myths you hear about the pay gap and how to convince the deniers that it's real.
Women leave the workforce to have children.
It's not that women
do leave the workforce in order to have children. So I don't know what you're going to tell me here that's not true. I mean, let's back up just a little bit here. See if we can get it. All right, let's see what she has to say, because that's just a fact that if you're going to have kids, why wouldn't you want to raise them anyway? I mean, why would you want to be like, oh, I'm just going to like have kids but not be a part of their life? It'll be fine. It's just like, I'm going to go to work, ignore my children for 8 to 10 hours every day. It'll be good. It'll be good. Yeah. If you can leave the workforce and raise your children, do it. I mean, what a greater thing to do in your life than to like be a part of your children's lives. That's an amazing thing to do. So I don't know why that everybody is saying that this is not an excuse, and even if it is an excuse, you shouldn't do this. Women should be in the workforce all the time, no matter what they're doing. They should just always be getting paid the same amount of money, etc.
It's not that women want to leave their jobs to take care of children, it's that they're forced to. A lot of men and women...
How are they forced to leave their jobs? That's illegal. You can't force a person to leave their job unless you're firing them. So being a parent is a protected class. You can't force a person to leave a job because they become a parent. Again, you would go to your EEOC and you would say, hey, look, I was fired for being a parent. That's illegal. This thing is so hyperbolic, it's freaking cringy.
A lot of men and women in the U.S. don't have paid family leave.
I don't think that's the case. Let's take a look here and see. I'm pretty sure that all states offer maternity leave, and not all states offer paternity leave. Let's take a look and see what we can find here. Well, the internet has failed me. I've looked into whether or not many workers in the United States get paid leave after they give birth. And I am finding all sorts of different answers to that question. So I only can assume that there's a lot of articles on the internet about this that are not accurate. 6 different states, and every state that I've lived in, you get paid family leave. It's state mandated in some way, shape, or form. And here in California, and I think there's other states now, you even get paternity leave. Men are taking off 3 months paid to raise the newborn child, and this is mandatory. You can't go, oh, I'd rather go to work, or hey, I'm going to work from home. Or no, you're not allowed to. You just have to sit and take care of your child and not work. So even though the United States federally does not have paid family leave, they have unpaid family leave that you are allowed to take. The states have stepped in and implemented this. Not only that, but you don't have to have kids. Don't have kids. If you are so interested in working, then go to work and don't have kids. See what else they're going to tell me that's not true.
Research shows that women will take unpaid family leave, but men refuse to.
Okay, well, let's look into this here. All right, we have the abstract of the article that they're referring to anyway. To get to, I think I can sign up for free, but this will give me enough information, I'm sure. So they left the link in the video. You can follow the link yourself. It's right there. I just typed it into Google and it came right up. Here we go. While many U.S. research universities now offer gender-neutral family-friendly policies, very few are what might be considered father-friendly. Campus cultures rarely encourage men to access these policies or do so reluctantly because some campus actors believe men will use parental leave time for their research instead of their childcare. What was that there? What did you just say now? Campus cultures rarely encourage men to access these policies? So it's the campus culture that is telling men, hey, yeah, you don't have family leave. What are you talking about? We employ quantitative and qualitative data to compare the parental leave experiences of men and women. Faculty at a large research university. Oh, that sounds like that's just a massive sample pool that you got there. Maybe a few hundred people at most. Probably only dozens of people. In doing so, we assess whether the allegation that men take unfair advantage parental leave is true at a large research university. We find that it is not. Okay, so they're not taking unfair advantage of parental leave. In our sample, relatively few men take paid leave at all. Huh. Well, so they're not even taking it. It's not that it's not that they're not taking it. It's that they're being forced to not take it by the campus culture. Those who do take it, however, have partners who work full-time. So the ones who are taking it, they're taking it out of necessary. Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe the men who aren't taking it, they're not taking it because, well, hey, my wife is going to take time off to care for the child, so I have to have my job. Imagine that. Women tend to want to raise their kids more so than men do. It's not that men don't want to raise their children, but between the two genders, I think men are less interested in that part of life than women are. Just been my experience. Just tossing that out there for you. Importantly, we find that among those taking parental leave, both fathers and mothers report engaging in care as well as some degree of ongoing research activity. Men and women faculty alike report that the cessation from teaching and service obligations provided by parental leave allows them to maintain a modicum of their research agenda despite caring for an infant. We also analyze what the other primary predictors of leave taking are for faculty and find that women and men engaged in science and math disciplines are among the least likely to use their paid leave benefits upon having a child. That kind of makes sense because there's going to be more men that are teaching math and science than there are women teaching math and science. So, and we already said men are less likely to take this. You know, it's not rocket science to figure that one out. We conclude with a discussion of the merits of paternity and maternity leave and discuss how parental leave policy might be best formulated. So that's pretty misleading what they stated in the video. Let's go ahead and watch that again.
Research shows that women will take unpaid family leave, but men refuse to. When women in the workforce have children, research shows they experience a pay cut, but when men have kids, they get a pay increase. Experts call it the fatherhood bonus.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this claim. There are little sources here. So we got, is there a motherhood penalty? Hey, we have an abstract here. This one I have to pay to get to, so I can't get to the full article, but here's our abstract. Survey research finds that mothers suffer a substantial wage penalty, although the causal mechanism producing it remains elusive. So they don't even know what's happening here. Could be a myriad of factors. It could have nothing at all to do with motherhood or fatherhood. The authors employed a laboratory experiment to evaluate the hypothesis that status-based discrimination plays an important role and an audit study of actual employers to assess its real-world implications. In both studies, participants evaluated application materials for a pair of same-gender, equally qualified job candidates who differ on parental status. The laboratory experiment found that mothers were penalized on a host of measures, including perceived competence and a recommended stating salary. Men were not penalized for and sometimes benefited from being a parent. The audit study showed that actual employers discriminate against mothers but not against fathers. Okay, that's very simple there. Now, why might this be happening, assuming this is true? Biology. It's biological. It's not the patriarchy. This is just simple biology. They see a man walk in and goes, yeah, I got a wife and a kid. They go, oh, he has to support two people. They see a woman walk in and they go, I got a kid. You go, oh, Well, she's probably got a husband, so she doesn't need as much money. I guess that's more cultural than biological, but people see the man as the provider. That's the biology part of it. People see man as the provider of, you know, the financial foundation of the family. So, yeah, this is not really, this is one study. How many people participated in it? I don't know. They don't have that information, but I don't think this is, you know, the patriarchy bias, but people have to have kids. If people are going to have kids, then, you know, you're going to have to expect to have financial changes when that happens. Let's see what else they have to say.
And even when women decide to stay in the workforce and never have kids, we're still seeing a pay gap.
Men simply work harder and work longer hours.
I love the eye roll and the head shake there, as if women work just as hard as men do. I've had many jobs, and I can tell you who works harder out of the two genders, by far.
I don't think so.
On average, women spend more time than men doing housework and caring for kids and older family members. And while
Okay, well, that's not paid for employment. That's housework. There's a big difference between doing housework and going to an employer and working.
women are at home doing domestic work, men are able to log more continuous work hours, resulting in a pay premium. So women have an unpaid second shift that subsidizes men's work.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of a given. I mean, that makes sense. If a woman is going to stay home and take care of the kids, the man is going to go to work, and then they're going to have him earning more money and getting more hours, and therefore making, you know, if a man has like a wife and a child at home, and he's like, I gotta make more money, I'm gonna put in more overtime. I'm just gonna stay at the office an extra 3 hours tonight so I can get some of that overtime, and then I can afford more for my child and wife. And you want to sit here and say, oh, that's a bad thing? These are idiots.
Men are more educated than
Than women.
false.
Women earn about 56% of all bachelor's degrees in the United States.
How many women earn master's degrees as compared to how many men? Well, we have this article here, the hidden gender gap among MBA graduates. Since 1987, women have earned more master's degrees, and since 2006, women have earned more PhDs. So why is it they can't figure out how to earn money? They're earning all these fancy degrees, more bachelor's degrees, more master's degrees, more PhDs, can't earn any money. Whose fault is that? They're getting the education. Oh, I know, that's right, it's men holding women back, even though that's illegal. It's highly illegal. This is not rocket science. I don't know why people can't figure this out.
Researchers found that as an increasing number of women are seeking higher education, the pay gap is shrinking. But if you compare men and women with the same level of education, the pay gap is even larger. Men are rewarded.
Okay, so this is really easy to argue against. Here you go. Women in their 20s earn more than men of the same age. When aged 22 to 29, women earn, on average, 1,111 more pounds than men. But the roles are reversed with a vengeance once 30 is hit. So this is for the UK. I don't know if it applies to the United States. I don't have numbers on that. I could do some more research and find probably information on that. But thing is, right here, ages 22 to 29, women are earning more than men. It's about $1,600 than men. We convert that over right now today. So that's not true. I mean, yeah, there's a pay gap because once women hit 30, they want to take time off. They don't want to work anymore. Why would you want to work? If you didn't have to work, why would you want to, really? I mean, if you could sit at home, watch TV, which one I'd rather do.
Rewarded disproportionately for earning the same credentials as women.
Women don't know how to negotiate.
It's true that women are less likely to negotiate job offers, but that's because when women ask for higher salaries, they are viewed as high maintenance, demanding, and often penalized.
All right, let's take a look at that article. 4 experiments show that gender differences in the propensity to initiate negotiations may be explained by differential treatment of men and women when they attempt to negotiate. Who did or did not initiate negotiations for higher compensation? Evaluators penalize female candidates more than male candidates for initiating negotiations. In experiment 3, participants evaluated videotapes of candidates who accepted compensation offers or initiated negotiations. Male evaluators penalize female candidates more than male candidates for initiating negotiations. Female evaluators penalize all candidates for initiating negotiations. Perceptions of niceness and demandingness explained resistance to female negotiations, to female negotiators. In experiment 4, participants adopted the candidate's perspective and assessed whether to initiate negotiations in same scenario used in experiment 3. With male evaluators, women were less inclined than men to negotiate, and nervousness explained this effect. There was no gender difference when evaluator was a female. Huh. So you're telling me women get nervous around men, so therefore they don't negotiate as well. So therefore it's true their negotiation skills are not as good. Define don't negotiate as well. Don't ask, or get nervous and don't remember their value, and so don't bring up the points that would bolster their claim that they deserve more money. It sounds like you're, making stuff up.
Negotiating skills can't combat gender bias and discrimination.
Men pursue higher paying careers.
Women are not deliberately setting out to find lower paying jobs. The jobs that women do are valued less than men's.
Yes, they are. That's true. So we pay coal miners a lot of money because it's a dangerous job, dangerous, dirty, thankless, and uncomfortable job. Same thing with all other miners. Same thing with sewage workers. Same thing with soldiers. We pay them more than we pay, cultural anthropologists, than we pay feminists, and we pay interpretive dance artists. Whatever these worthless degrees that women are getting, they don't pay as much. What are these worthless jobs that women are getting? I mean, what would you rather do? Would you rather sit in front of a computer and just kind of like enter data for $15 an hour, or would you rather go work on an oil rig for $50 an hour and possibly die in the process? It's a no-brainer. Women are going to take these easier jobs for a lot of different reasons. One is that they're physically more suited for these easier jobs, and men are physically more suited for the more difficult, more dangerous, higher paying jobs. That's just biology. You're not going to change that. All right? So stop complaining about it and be thankful that you have the luxury of sitting in a comfortable office instead of risking your life to do these dangerous jobs.
And as women enter a field, the wages drop. When a large number of women became designers, wages fell by 34%. When they became biologists, wages dropped by 18%.
Okay, this is because women will work for less. Women don't know their value. Women undervalue themselves, and they'll go, hey, I'll do that job. How much does it pay? Well, the employer is going to pay you less if he can. He's not doing it explicitly because you're a woman. He would do it to men, too, if he could get away with it, and that does happen. I worked with a guy who I was making more money than him. Of course, I had a higher degree than him, but he had experience on the job at this job. And he told me he was making a lot less than me, like half, I think around half what I was making. Even though I just started walking in the door and I'm like, yeah, I'm making this much money. So it's not necessarily a gender thing if you're going to pay somebody less. Employers want to pay their employees less. The less they can pay their employees, the more they have for their own pockets, right? Not difficult to figure out. So when women entered the workforce in large numbers back in the 60s and 70s, especially in the 60s, it was easy for employers to go, hey, look, this is what the job pays, and women didn't know any better because they didn't have any experience. And that wasn't easy to go out and find out how much another person pays. It wasn't an easy thing to do. So women are being paid less because they undervalue themselves. They don't know the value of their work. They don't know what they're worth. It's not a biased thing. It's just employers want money in their pockets. That's what they want.
Oh, wow.
Oh, gee. Okay.
It's just 20 cents, and that barely makes a difference.
That's not a myth. 20 cents is true. It's just 20 cents. I mean, it's a myth that it's 20 cents, actually. I mean, but your claims are that it's just 20 cents. If people are telling you that barely makes a difference, that's 20% of your income. I mean, that's a huge percentage. That's significant. You would notice if 20% of the population suddenly disappeared. You'd be like, hey, there's fewer people around here. You would also notice if you took a 20% pay cut. So I don't know why they're thinking this is a myth. It's not. It's just more of their stupid rhetoric.
Really?
For full-time workers in the U.S., a 20-cent difference comes out to about $10,000 a year on average. That amount can make the difference between poverty and financial security. It's clear that the gender pay gap does exist, and now you have 6 arguments to use to prove the naysayers wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, why are these companies making these videos, making these articles, putting out these articles about this so-called wage gap, this so-called pay gap? It's not real. Okay, yeah, there's a disparity between men and women. It's due to choices. That's all that causes this to happen. Nothing else. So saying that we need to do something to fix this, no. If you want to fix this, we've already done everything we can do, right? There's laws. Everybody knows this information is out there. Women are encouraged to go out and work instead of stay home and take care of their children like they should, like responsible parents. But yet there's still a pay gap. Oh my gosh, is it closing? Maybe. But what if it's not? What if it never closes? What are we going to do? Oh, are we going to actually force people to be paid exactly the same amount for the same amount of work, and then force women to take overtime or force men not to take overtime or something so that they don't make extra money? Because overtime is a legal right. You have to get paid a certain amount for working a certain number of hours overtime. So the only other thing you do is force this. Is just be like, we're going to force this to happen. So we're going to take money away from men, we're going to give it to women, or we're going to force employers to pay everybody this certain amount, X, Y, Z. There's going to be no overtime. There's going to be no changes in pay. If you're full-time employed, this is it. You make X number of dollars a year, period. That's what it's going to come down to. I mean, everybody's going to make $50,000 a year if you're full-time employed. And if you're part-time employed, you're going to make $25,000 a year. So that we can all be equal in this. And another thing that I'm going to tell you right now, I've said this before, I think, in my videos, is I used to work as a waiter, as a server, is what we call them, server, right? We've got to be gender neutral for everything, PC. And I will tell you that the women do not claim their tips. Women do not claim their tips. They'll claim like 30% of what they actually make in tips. So there's part of your gender wage gap right there. So women don't claim their tips. So the men do, the women don't. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.